everybody, welcome back to the channel. And look, I have actor, director, producer, author, all these wonderful things here with me to talk about a wonderful thing that's happening called Itchikan. We'll get to that. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. You know who I am. I'm not gonna go into the whole spiel. We've had technical difficulties, that's why we're starting late. Shut up. Anyway, welcome to the channel, Ben. How are you?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. Seriously, I'm doing really well. I
Oh,
mean,
awesome, awesome.
truly just enjoying the last throes of summer.
Oh God, yes, it's lovely. Hello, book, and welcome. Look at the new emote. Welcome back, everyone. So I'm so glad you agreed to this interview. And I can have so many questions. I've seen you all over TikTok, mostly your cosplay stuff, but then like a lot of the new web series stuff started popping up. I'm like, ooh, this is fun. This is interesting. So I need to talk to him about this. So let's find out what's going on here. So before we get into all of the indie stuff and all the filmmaking and everything else, you have a long list of films and performances on your YouTube channel. Um, how did your film journey begin?
Oh my gosh, it really began like when I was like younger. My dad would record every moment, really, like since we were born, and that
Mm-hmm.
gave me like this love for cameras. And
Okay.
so, camcorders with the little VHS tapes in them
Oh
were my first
wow!
filmmaking camera.
Wow, you
Yeah,
said
I'm old
VHS.
school. Yeah, that was how I like got my start, moved on to Sony Cyber Shots that I
Mm-hmm.
took everywhere with me, and I recorded everything from dolls to school stuff to stuff with my
Wow.
sisters. I've just always loved a good story, and I've
Okay.
always loved the visual aspect of creating the story as well.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I love that. So like I said, all your stuff is a lot of your films and short stories and stuff are on YouTube, especially like your love of the diversion and all this other stuff. It's on YouTube. What role has social media played in your filmmaking?
I would say it's played a really gigantic role. I mean, like, I've always been into film, but like
Mm-hmm.
in my city, there is not a lot of film programs for like younger people or just in
Right.
general. The film community is really small. And so as an adult, I wanted to get into the industry, but wasn't sure how. And social media has connected me with people who are now part of my team, people who
Mm-hmm.
helped me and shoot Itchikan,
Yeah.
the proof of concept and everything. And social media is literally where I met all of my cast. And
Okay.
so it's like,
Okay.
whoa, 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 like seriously taught me the importance of using social media as a tool.
Right, right. I mean, like I said, you are all over social media. Like, you have a huge following on TikTok. But we'll get to that in a second. But your portfolio is seriously extensive. Like, I think you have over 100 films and videos on your YouTube channel. I don't know how many you have on TikTok. I have not counted because I'm not that ambitious. Um, is there a common theme to all of your films and the things that you do, aside from the from Divergent? But is there a common theme, or do you just kind of diversify over several different genres?
I really, I feel like I'm a really jack of all genres. I do love genres are just, are
Right.
just the vehicle with which a good story can be told through.
Gotcha.
But when I look at all of my work, like the work that I've created, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's video, writing, or like cosplay or like edits or whatever, I feel like my biggest things that I gravitate towards are like self discovery.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love humor so much. I'm just somebody who loves to laugh, so
Okay.
it's probably going to be some comedy in everything I do. And I love highlighting underrepresented communities because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part
Mm-hmm.
of a lot of them, and I love to just uplift those stories. And also just coming of age stories. I think I love the hope that comes with being a child and being a younger person, and I really want to bring that into the adult world as I now am a FH out of the teenage hood.
Yeah. So yeah, you've aged out of the teenagehood. No longer could claim I'm a child anymore. Unfortunately, sometimes that's a great like getaway something. But we talked about it before about you being huge on TikTok. You have over 8,000 followers on TikTok, over 1,200 on Instagram. You have a growing YouTube channel. So across all platforms with your film work, your young adult books, and your cosplay. How are the communities different from each other in how they accept your works? Because I know TikTok can be, yeah, as opposed to Instagram, which is a little bit different, and Twitter, it's still Twitter, it's not X. Can't make me change my mind. It's a little bit different as well. But how are they different from each other, and how they accept your work and how they accept your filmmaking?
That is such a great question. I really love TikTok because it's a visual platform,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and Instagram used to be very like visual oriented, but because of how it works now, it
Yes.
everyone knows it's kind of just not the best place, I guess, for trying to be seen. Like I
Yes.
use it more for like photo stuff, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
video person, and
Right.
so TikTok is like the place that I feel like really has received my work really well because on Instagram it's a lot harder to get seen by anybody, even your own
Yes.
followers.
Oh my
And
God.
so
Yes.
like I think because of how TikTok works, I've really found such a great audience of people there. That's where like a lot of my cast came from because they just saw the videos that I was making because I was consistent,
Okay.
posting stuff. And TikTok sucks a lot of the time, but they can really the app can reward you when you are consistent, when you pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to the trends of what your audience likes, and when you give them more of that, and when you interact with them as well. I've really been received very well, and I ended up created two accounts for my filmmaking as a whole, and then one
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
specifically for Itchikan because I've always had a billion social media accounts because I
Yes.
just do so many things. So it's like, I mean, I can't not have everything together, but
Right.
if I can separate it, I will because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
chances are I'm talking to a different group of people. But
Right.
I
Right.
found great groups in
Okay.
both
Awesome.
communities.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense. But which came first? Because I know Ichikan is like huge right now for you. It's growing. People are starting to like build interest in it and find out you're filming, doing a lot of filming. But what came first, book writing for young adults or filmmaking?
That's like the kitchen the what is it called, the chicken or the egg question. Um,
like, like, how am I supposed to answer this question?
because they are so different, but I feel like my love for them is very wrapped because
Okay.
like I you know didn't have a graph. I don't think of writing a book as a child, but I did. Like I would
Mm,
write, I would write scripts and then I would write like short stories or like poetry, and then I record,
right.
a copy of a film or like a doll film or whatever. And like so it was happening at very much the same time. And as an adult, I've had the fun, task of realizing that they're very different and that they require a different headspace.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I know. You're like, I don't think I could do this today. Where sometimes you're like, I don't want to. I don't feel
Yeah.
like
Mm,
it.
nah.
I
You
get
know,
it.
when one is hard, you can fall back on the other.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I kind of know the answer to this, but what would you say is your passion then? Is it writing or the screenwriting, young adult writing, or is it like the filmmaking part, like actually directing and producing and casting and all the stuff that you have to do under one hat?
Oh my gosh. I really do think that my passion has to just be stories
Okay,
because I
okay.
feel like I love aspects of all of those things. I'm very
Hmm.
extroverted, and
Okay,
so
okay,
my first answer was definitely directing, writing, and acting
okay.
because those allow me to be there. Those allow me to be in the room with the people. I love to write for TV, by the way, obviously, creating a TV show. So like
I
I've,
heard we're gonna talk about that. It's not.
you
We're
know,
gonna talk about it. I saw that
gotten
TikTok.
like yes, like I'm really having so much fun like creating environments that I've only seen people on YouTube be a part of, like with
Hmm.
the writers room and stuff like that. That's my favorite part of creative work is when I get to work with others.
Okay.
And in book writing, that does not happen as often. I am trying to build a
Yeah.
community because it's difficult to write a book by yourself,
Hmm. Hmm.
just
Hmm.
at all. But I think film has it built in. So I
Right.
think film is where I lean my career towards the most.
Hmm.
Book writing is a passion of mine, and I'm going to do that regardless.
Right.
So when it comes to like a career, I feel like film fits my personality. It fits where I want to go, and also I could do so many different things. I could direct, I could act, I could
Yes.
produce, I could, and it's big and beautiful, and I love it.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So before I get to the next question, I well actually we can kind of go merge the two because we're gonna talk about Ichikan. I want to know about the origin, how this all began. But I saw TikTok that you pitched exactly what's right there next to you to actual TV show or produce TV production company. Tell us about Ichikan and how did you get to that point?
That's such a great and loaded question. Seriously. this book and me, I mean, we feel like it feels like we've actually been in a relationship for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's older than like a lot of my friends that I have now, just
Okay.
because I wrote it in, I started writing it in 2000, not 2011, when I was 11 in 2013,
Okay.
and I published it 2 years later. And that's about to be 10 years ago now. So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
whoa, and this story has definitely evolved in some ways, but in some ways it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the craziest thing is like I've gone through so much emotional change when it comes to how I feel about this, because as a child, I just wanted, it was a cool thing. And my dad told me it was cool, and it was cool, and I'm still proud of myself for doing it. But I wanted the fame then. I wanted people to see it then, and I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
step out and be that child prodigy. And I didn't get that. And it really affected like how I felt about my own work, even though I had
Right.
just done something amazing.
It's
It
like,
was like, how cool can it be if no one sees it,
right. Right.
Um, and so it took me years. I'm talking like until like 2022, when I was like 20, to
Mm-hmm.
really sit there and look at this book and not see a failure, essentially, to not see
Mm.
like just something that kind of, fell off to the side.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm really thankful that I did that work, because now I'm able to champion this story, to really see it for the beautiful thing that it is, and then to build off of it, because I'm so much of a better writer now, and I'm literally able to adapt it into a show, which is not easy, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to talk to people about it in
Mm-hmm.
front of a live audience. Like
Right.
that really
Right.
started on TikTok,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
making videos about it, because I re-released it with some new content and a new cover, and
Mm-hmm.
I was finally like, okay, maybe I should just tell people about the book then.
Yeah.
And that was scary, and
Right.
it took a lot of like courage, but I did that, and that's why I was able to recently talk about the story and really just bring it to life for these people who had some have heard of it already and some hadn't,
Mm-hmm.
and got a great response.
Oh, that's awesome. So I don't know if you could talk about it yet, but what was the feeling when you were pitching this story to these executives? Like, what was the feeling that you were getting? What was the feedback?
I really it was a nerve-wracking feeling, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I wish I had prepared more, but I didn't really have a lot of time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really felt like I was scrambling, and I wrote like, a pitch and whatever, and then when I stood up there and I just had to talk,
Right. Right.
and it was definitely nerve-wracking, but I'm proud of myself, and I did a good job, I feel like, of explaining my story, and people were receptive. Like they asked questions, they were
Okay.
interested in the world,
Right.
and even after the um even after the meeting, people texted me and added me on like Facebook, and were just like, hey, if you need props, I make
Ooh.
amazing props for like fantasy stuff. And that like was so affirming and like encouraging, because it's like,
Okay.
yeah, like I pitched a great story.
Look, I did this. I did the thing. That is amazing. That is awesome. So now that we've talked about all that, I want to know about the origins. I know about the origin story because I've read some stuff. But for the people who don't know, tell us about Ichikan and where it began.
Itchikan really began in the recesses of my mind,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, like, and realizing that there seemed to be this gigantic divide amongst
Mm-hmm.
like genders. There was like, oh, all the boys, they can do all the fun, cool stuff, and the
Right.
girls, they have to, shut up, sit to the side, wear skirts all the time, never have any fun, just be these dainty flowers over
Right.
there.
Right.
And that really disturbed me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having the words to say, God gave me like shows and movies and things to really remind me like, hey, I see you, you're not alone, like I understand your dilemma, and it's not right, like the stuff that's going on, this idea is not right. And so when I watched The Legend of Korra at age 10, I really
Mm-hmm.
realized like, wait a minute, girls can be like really cool and really muscular and still be kind of like nervous around their crush. And I was like, bro, like I really, it broke open my world. And at the same time, young adult dystopian novels were coming out, and I read Divergent and fell in love with it, absolutely
Yes.
obsessed. And this is again a series that's written by and led by a woman who's like small and who everyone underestimates, and who feels like she doesn't belong. And these stories truly just nurtured my spirit and the
Okay.
anger and the fire that I had to want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that all come That's not the word I want to say. That all came together, and sparked the idea that I
Mm-hmm.
originally like wrote out on like a napkin that became
Oh
the
wow.
story of Ichikan.
Okay. So on a napkin, really?
Yeah, I
That's
was like in
it's.
class. I was like in the middle of class, like, that sounds cool. It was just a sentence. It was literally just a sentence that used to
Okay.
be the title.
Oh, that's awesome. So, why did you decide to go from Ichikan as a book to Ichikan as a web series? Like, where was that transition? How did that transition happen, and why did you decide to do that?
I had always seen it as a theatrical sort of movie, just because I grew up where all these books were becoming films, and as a reader and a watcher, I was just bombarded with like things that I loved all the time, and it was so much fun. And so when I wrote my book, I had in mind already like, oh yeah, it's gonna be three great books and it's gonna be three great movies, and then and so it was in my head at like when
Right.
I wrote it, and then when I realized like it was like 2023, it was the beginning of 2023. I
Mm-hmm.
had the amazing opportunity to write on a fantasy, not a fantasy, on a post-apocalyptic coming of age series.
Ooh, which
And
one?
oh my gosh, it's called Teenage Haunt. I'm
Okay.
also the
Okay.
editor, and so it will be released at some point in the future, just so you know. If you
Okay.
can, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, so you can definitely find us. Um, but that really changed my life because I don't think before that I had the
Mm-hmm.
grasp of knowing I could write for TV or I could write, for someone's project. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna be, and so like I was at an airport or something for a trip, going to help with this project when it just kind of dawned on me, if I can write for this show, why don't we take this time to adapt Ichikan?
Oh,
And
okay.
when I revisited the film angle in the years that I've, lived since the Divergent, dystopian boom, I've realized you can't really put all that into 2 hours.
Right.
It's hard. Like you can, but it's just very hard.
It
And
condenses the story to the point where you're gonna be like, I don't want that to happen like that.
yes, it's very like almost unrecognizable. And so I was like, I don't want to lose my massive cast of characters or my world building or just the fun little moments that get lost because you're trying to move the plot along. So I was like, TV. Why don't we just make
Mm,
it a TV show? And web series, I go back and forth between saying web and TV because I know for a fact that in Jesus' name it's going to just show on people's TVs as
right,
well.
right,
But I just say web because I feel like it makes it obvious that I am independently doing it because
right.
it took me time to come to terms with being an indie author, and it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely taken time to come to terms with being an indie filmmaker and not wanting to sell my ideas but to create them.
Gotcha.
And all that came together to decide, hey, I'm going to adapt my book.
So, what impact are you hoping to make then with your work? Specific. Okay, that word. I'm sorry.
You're good.
That specifically, uh, Ichikan. Like, what's the impact that you're hoping to make with it?
I really, really hope that all like the little black girls out there that really never felt like they mattered to the world or like the world was always against them or they
Mm-hmm.
weren't desirable or they couldn't be the main character because we grew up seeing like black women in these like best friend type very
Yes.
stereotypical roles. Like I want all of them to feel seen and to feel heard, even if it's not by the main character, if it's by one of the other characters, because there's a significant amount of black women in the book, like, and they're main
Yes.
main people who are an array of different types of humans, and I just really hope that they all feel so seen and heard. And I hope that people who don't have that experience are able
Mm-hmm.
to empathize more, you know what I'm saying, with the anger and the things that people kind of use as weapons against black women, but
Mm-hmm.
are literally just the experience of being a black woman made into like all these emotions that people aren't even allowing them to feel. Like I want people to know like black women are human beings. Let's like treat them like human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like really, really important. And I hope people have fun.
Yeah.
That's my main thing. It's like it's a really fun story. Like it's a dystopian,
Mm-hmm.
there's death, there's, fighting and grief and stuff.
there's
But
there's
it's
swords and
like, swords.
katanas and like all this stuff. You guys have to go check it. Please click the link. It's so cool. Like I have anyway. there
No,
are
you're
things
right.
that are happening and you're like, what is going on here? So the indie film space is notorious. Most film spaces are hard to crack into, and also very expensive. So what you're doing is not minor in any way, even though, for all intents and purposes, it is a, for all intents and purposes, it is a small budget film. How are you navigating the costs and the obstacles for that?
That is, oh my gosh, such a great question, and one that I always have for other people because I'm like, how are you doing this? Um, and it's funny because the people who I've talked to before that have like guided me in my journey have said the same things that I'm now able to say now, which is it's a lot of prayer, a lot of favor, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of like sacrifice. Like I've definitely used a lot of my own money for the project,
Yeah.
and it's definitely not a lot. So, that's gone like a ways, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
just been relying on other people, like asking people to help in areas that I'm not able to help, whether that's financially or otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
friends, family, um, like my cast, my crew, truly just asking people to show up as their best selves and letting them know that I am as well, like keeping them updated, allowing them to have creative a creative stake in the project. Like again, there are people who are acting in the project and now they're also writing and they're also creative directing and they consult on the social media. These are opportunities that I was so happy to be able to open up as an indie like filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
and they have allowed the project to be more than just like me at the top and them doing all their specific jobs, as it probably would be if I did have the funds. Not having the funds and being more of like a, all right, like, we're trusting each other that we're all gonna be here together. So when we're standing on a stage and people just gave us $1 million grant, we all know we did the work to get
Right.
here. It's really been that. It's really been finding the right people, and leaning on people who say they want to help, and
Right.
who want to
Right.
support you in just any way, because you never know who could come through. Like, yeah, the stories I got for y'all, like, when the proof is finished and I'm able to like really reveal everything, people truly showed up and showed out, and I am
Mm-hmm.
eternally grateful.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you have a cast. You have a very strong cast, actually. Um, I'm assuming that your cast. Hello, welcome in. I'm assuming that your cast do dual roles as crew as well, or are they just cast?
A lot of them, well, I think there are some that are just cast, and that's
Okay.
like, but even the people who are just cast members go above and beyond. Like, what I'm saying, if they can, they, will create content for the Instagram and content for the TikTok, and share the post and comment on the post. And so that to me is a part of being a crew person, because you could just show up and do your job, but you go in that extra mile. I love that. And the people who are cast and something else, again, there is a cast like the lead who
Mm,
plays Aurora. Their name is Amanjanu,
right.
and they are also the creative director of the project. And so, it was very interesting having them on set, just all up in the Aurora garb, and also making decisions on the script, like helping me rewrite things in the moment because it didn't make sense or because something changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're also a writer. So they're in all the writers' room meetings. And that is a trend. That trend continues. One of our producers is also a writer, someone who isn't even in the current proof because their character doesn't show up until the show. They are also a writer and the social media consultant.
Okay.
And so it's truly been a blessing to be able to see people and all the facets that they have, especially because our project was alive for an entire year before we shot it. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of things in the back end that they've gotten to help with because
Right.
it's taken
Right.
so long.
Oh, that's amazing. So you talked about before that you spend a lot of your own money, but how do you balance regular everyday work with all the responsibilities you have with filming and pitching and rewriting and editing? How do you balance all that and still like have a day job?
Well, I don't have a day job at this moment.
Okay.
I did just apply to actually a night job, but
Okay.
I thankfully don't have to worry about, having to support myself. I still live with my family, and so that's like a privilege that I'm
Mm-hmm.
awarded. And that gives me a lot of free time and a lot of free funds, so I don't have to like worry about my funds being, needed for food or necessities. I'm able to use them just for what I want, and Ichikan is one of those things. And when I was working during the summer, actually was the busiest time. I feel like of
Mm-hmm.
my entire life, I was working. I was working in the day, the night I was acting in a musical, my first musical ever, which was so much fun. And then I
Oh,
was
that's
also
awesome.
doing the Itchikan crowdfunding and getting
Mm.
ready for production. And so I don't know what type of crazy juice entered into my cup that morning on the morning I decided to sign up for all this stuff at the same time. But like I'm thankful because I know I can do it now. And it was in that whirlwind that I learned how to manage all those things, and it really just came down to focus. Like when I
Right.
was at my job, I was focusing on my job, and I would use time at my job that was downtime to work on Ichikan. And
Mm.
then when I was at the musical, working on the musical, during our like 5 minute breaks, I might be answering an email from someone on the crew from Ichikan, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Um and really just getting creative. Like the social media is a big part of the Ichikan production because it's literally how we met a lot of our cast and crew. And so putting that content out is very important to me. And right now I'm the one that's all doing that. And so utilizing scheduling features so that I don't
Mm.
have to, like, at the beginning of the week creating a whole bunch of content. Like I would have to literally take a day, create the content, then do a whole bunch of other stuff, then take another day, edit the content.
It's like take another
you
day,
know,
edit the content. Take another day.
schedule it. And like it really, that was how I had to do it because it wouldn't work. I was not at my home. I was not able to, I was creating content in the wild, even like, at my job or whatever, if I could find like a blank wall or like, because I wanted to maintain the Ichikan brand. And so it's been a lot, but like really just focusing and using my time wisely has been the best way that I've learned how to balance it all.
I'm sorry. One moment, please.
Hmm.
Pause. The car is here.
Yes, the pin is just.
10:41.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
So you talked about just before that you are also an actor, and I've said it before. I said it in the introduction. You're also an actor. You've done some like stage, theater. Um, do you plan on expanding on that and like doing more theater, more TV shows, more like trying to get in more into that, or is directing and producing your going to be your main thing?
I definitely plan to get more into that. Right now feels like a break because I definitely am doing a lot. But one thing I've been doing a lot now is like commercial acting. Because
Ah,
it's like the middle ground between film and theater.
right.
Because theater is like big and beautiful, and I really feel like I found myself again in theater because film is very subdued. Film reminds me of life. And it can doesn't have to be like this, but generally, film is very consolidated to the frame. It's very much like you read the script and you do what the script says. I
Mm,
have been blessed to be a part of projects as an actor that don't have to be like that. That I'm allowed to just be big even on the film camera. And I love that because, it's just fun. But it's not going to work every time. And so that's where theater comes in, where I'm allowed to be big and fly around and not have to worry about being small and being, inside this little frame. Um,
mm-hmm.
and commercial is another place that I really shine because I'm just a very expressive person
Okay.
and, very like, animated and
Mm-hmm.
loud. And and so commercials have been so much fun to get into because it's very, for lack of a better term, simple because I don't have to think about the character and all of that. Like I don't have to do like character work and the extensive list of things.
Right.
But I still am acting in a way because it's still not how I go around like my day to day, technically, like depending on the commercial.
Mm,
And so right now I'm really focused on that, especially because it tends to pay more, especially here in
yes.
Michigan. And
Mm-hmm.
um and so that's my like main focus at the moment. But I want an extensive acting career.
Mm-hmm.
Acting was one of the last things I got into, technically before TV writing, but still, because I didn't think of it as a career. I
Okay.
had to really remember, like, wait a minute, these people are being paid to do this. Like, I think,
It's like, oh, they get paid. I should do that.
I should do it
that,
too.
that
Like,
makes more sense to me now, I guess.
yeah, because I mean, they seem very inaccessible. Like when you watch a movie, if you're not thinking about it, even though I'm thinking about it from the editing and the cinematography and the directing perspective, the
Mm-hmm.
acting kind of always had eluded me because I've always been like a behind the scenes, like I'm holding
Right.
the camera, I'm telling people what to do type of mode. But when I got back into cosplay is when I realized acting is a big love of mine, you know,
Okay. Okay.
and so I definitely do want a career. I think my main focuses are very creative. I'm a very creative person, so I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
leave the logistics, like producing and stuff, to somebody else, and be more on the creative side. Seriously,
Gotcha.
directing, writing, and acting, my three loves. I love those.
I love that. I love that. It's funny because you talked about cosplay a few minutes ago, but I know you from your cosplay. I know TikTok from mostly from cosplay from your cosplay. So, how has cosplay, like, one, helped to influence what you're doing now, but also has you had to put it on the back burner because of all the other projects you've been doing?
Oh, yes, such a great question. Yes, actually, that the first thing you asked about how does it connect with what I'm doing now?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Oh my gosh. It really does connect a lot. Because it really, I mean, I've been cosplaying since I was very young because
Mm-hmm.
it just dawned on me, hey, I love this character. I'm gonna pull up like when I'm getting my hair done, and I'm gonna ask them to give me this character's haircut right now.
Right, right.
And and I did that, and I lived with other character, fictional character haircuts for a lot of my young life, and I would love to get the outfits, and like I'm the king of closet cosplays. I love, just pulling whatever is out of my closet, making a cool costume out of it. At least until I'm like able to financially buy all the crazy stuff, and it's fun. It's really fun, and
Mm-hmm.
it really, really inspires me to act because I'm really big on work life balance.
Okay.
And that includes, unfortunately for me, because I really was like, I didn't want it to include this. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted my like creative endeavors to still be like fun,
Right,
but at the end of the day, it is a business to
right,
create a
right.
TV show. And the moving parts make it not something that you want to be doing every second of every day. And the times when acting has become such a business that I'm like submitting so much and I'm doing this so much and it's like my head is just gigantic and I'm tired.
Right.
That's when I turn to cosplay. And remember, hey, I like doing this for fun.
Like,
Like I don't always have to do this just for just for the screen or for my
mhm.
career. I can just do it for fun. And TikTok has given me that great like a great platform to do that with.
So it's so funny because you talked about how TikTok has been a great platform. A lot of people kind of veer away from TikTok because it can be so volatile.
Yeah.
um, you seem to have found your niche there. Do you do you think that you would release some of your work on TikTok exclusively, or is it going to just be like a web series that people have to go find, or a TV series rather?
Oh, really? Honestly, TikTok is definitely one of the distribution places. I would definitely put it other places, but TikTok
Mm-hmm.
is one of the main ones because that's where my audience came from first. Like,
Right.
Itchikan didn't really have an audience except for on my Instagram that I've been running for a while now
Mm-hmm.
about my book. But the show, especially, that the people who came for that show came through TikTok, and
Yes.
so I absolutely wanted it accessible for those people.
Right. Oh, that's lovely. So, do you plan on making social media and streaming like a full time? Like a lot of people get to 10K or they get to 100K or whatever. Do you plan on making this a full time endeavor to include in all your other media sources as a source of income, or is just like TikTok and Instagram are just kind of like it's great to have them. Thank you for following me. I appreciate the support. Here's some web series to watch, or is it gonna be a full time? I'm doing TikToks every day, and this is what I want to do as part of it.
Ooh, I actually do look forward to the day that I'm able to like hire someone to create content for the Etsy
Like
content.
I'm not pretty. Like as soon as I can hire somebody to do this, like here you go.
And it sounds weird saying that because I mean, handing off something that I've taken care of for a long time to
Mhm.
somebody else sounds like bonkers to me. But I just know it would probably help me out a lot because it's difficult being the producer and director of the project and then also having to worry about how it looks online.
Yeah.
I definitely still want to decide like how it looks and how it shows up, but I'd rather decide on the creative stuff and not have to worry about like did this video do well today? Should we create 5 more videos like it? Like, I'd rather someone else do that work so I could focus more on creative. But that's universal. Like I would rather a lot of people do a lot of different jobs on Ichikan that I'm currently
Right.
doing myself. But social media is very much a tool for me, and
Mhm.
I used to definitely want it to become like this profession thing. I mean, I've wanted to do the streaming thing, like be
Mhm.
play games. I've wanted to make big money doing book videos, and I just don't know if it's something that I actually want anymore. I feel
Okay.
like
Okay.
I love to create my own platform. I'm really admire creators that either use Patreon or they use these other platforms where people can come directly to them
Mhm.
to get
Mhm.
their content. Because social media has definitely failed me in the past, like
Yeah.
deleting my stuff or not showing my stuff to my audience. It's because
Mhm.
like you mentioned, having like 8,000 followers, like oh, I need to remember that more often. But the horrible thing about it is like you could have all these followers and TikTok will still show your videos to max 200 people. And then it's like, bruh, like, do I just send it to every single? And so that's why I've utilized like newsletters and stuff like that that can actually bridge that gap.
Right, right. I love that. So, as a popular black man in the filmmaking community, especially on TikTok, what are some obstacles that you've encountered or endured early on when you first started filmmaking?
Oh, that is such a great question. My main obstacles, I feel like, come from like just the lack of visibility.
Yeah.
And I think especially as an actor, I felt them the most.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, filmmaking is very like it can be faceless. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the time people literally don't know anyone in the film but the actors,
Right,
as
right.
if they're the ones making the film. And and I've never been that person because I know for a fact, like I started off editing first and recording, and then so I know there are definitely like a billion jobs that other people are doing. And so I know that I've been able to thankfully find black people who are doing these other things, and
Mm-hmm.
black men, especially in Detroit, that are really making great content. And then I latch on and I follow, and I have an entire black list of creators that I've been
Mm-hmm.
building for like 3 years. Cause like you said, I just don't play that. Like I gotta know that there are people like me out there that I can call up if I wanna, you know, be used. But I think for acting, it was very disheartening because
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
is the face. Like the actors
Yes.
are the face of the production, and
Mm-hmm.
not seeing other black like people in Hollywood, very
Right, right.
often as anything other than like a punchline or like a, side character. Those things made it super like it made me really think like, can I even have a career in
Mm-hmm.
the film industry?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if I do, is it going to be consolidated
Right,
to,
right.
these very second banana like to the side roles?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the biggest thing um that I've encountered for sure, because I feel like we're all wondering that, because again, it's so difficult to find each
Right,
other.
right. So this is the part I want to know because like I said, I've read some of the books. I kind of like peep in and like pop in every once in a while. So I know the story, but for the people who don't know or who are now interested, tell us a little bit about the Itchikan without any spoilers,
Okay.
and
Okay.
how the story's developing so far.
Okay, no spoilers. And she kind of follows a sheltered, very adventurous teenager named Aurora Harris, who
Mm-hmm.
lives in this utopian suburban town along with her parents and her best friend Kimiko, who is the only reason why she doesn't run away. Because this
Right.
town is it's run by the authoritarian Queen Jakira, who, makes all the decisions and tells people what to do and what not to do. And her parents are just like second dictators to her, and so she feels very like she cannot breathe.
Okay.
And the one thing that the society does have though is swords. And so in this city state, they can use swords for fun.
Yeah.
And her and her best friend meet in their backyard to, sword fight, because her best friend is allowed to take classes. And so she brings back all her lessons and teaches
Mm-hmm.
Aurora. And it's fun. It's a fun time. And the only thing that sucks about this is that it always gets cut short.
Right.
And at the start of our story, actually, in the proof of concept at least, their swords are taken, and by Kimiko's mom, because they're like, she's like, bro, why are y'all trying to kill each other?
like,
You know,
why are you trying to cut my child's head off? What is wrong with you?
like, what's wrong with you, literally?
Like go
And
home.
yeah, literally, go
Like go
home.
home. Okay, you don't you have a house? Like go. Dinner is ready.
Yes, literally. That is literally exactly what's written in the script. Like seriously. And it's funny because she's one of those like cool moms, and so she kind of like, maybe I'll give them back to you in like 2 weeks, but you better
Right.
not do it again. She tries to be cool, but she's definitely afraid for her daughter's life and for Aurora's life as well. She's just like, bro, no violence. Um, and that irritates Aurora, obviously.
Right. Right.
But she's about to go in and have dinner with her. Like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. They're gonna have a nice dinner. It's gonna be cool. And then the queen announces that actually recreation time is over. It's time to go home because
Mm-hmm.
she has an announcement to make. Oh my gosh, what? And this is a usual occasion in Navajo City State, but Aurora is not. She doesn't like it anytime it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
she's forced to leave after Kimiko was like, "Hey, we're gonna have the best summer ever," and Aurora's like, "Okay, whatever." And like, okay,
I love Aurora. Thank you. I love Aurora because it's always like her friend is like, "This will be great," and she's like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't. It's fine." I'm like, dude, you live like, bruh.
Yeah, Homegirl's in her emo era for sure.
100%.
Yeah, and you know, I so feel her. But like the second Kimiko like walks away, and I'm kind of like telling the whole story now. But
That's
no,
okay. That's okay.
yeah, technically no spoilers still. But Aurora, the biggest thing with Aurora is that she does want to love Navajo City Six. She wants to like fit in, but she just knows she doesn't, and that's never been something that people have made okay, and so it just makes her very angry.
Yeah.
But you know, she goes home anyway because she has to. And I
Yeah.
will leave this part out because it's kind of like a nice, mysterious, fun part for people who have read the book, so I'll leave it out of this. But the story in the book and the show is that she goes home and she doesn't think anything of this broadcast, just usual normal garbage that the queen has to say. And then the queen announces that she is going to be implementing an experiment to turn loved ones against each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Aurora might not care about much, but
But
she cares about her family and
Yep.
friends.
Yep.
And she's like, what? And so she starts forming in her head, like, this has to stop. And it's all like, it's a cool plan. Like, I'm sure, like, she starts thinking of it, you know.
Right, right.
But she has to get it past her parents first. She really feels like if she can
Whoa!
get their help, then maybe it can work. But who knows? Who knows?
Wow. Pause. Thank you, Cookie Mon Steve, for the what the heck did you do? For the 5 gifted subs to the channel and just blew my mind. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you, everyone. That, oh my god, dude, Billy, every level 2 hype train going, amazing. But yeah, so they're always distracting me.
You're good.
Dang it. But, you know, it's easy. I'm easily distracted though, so it's all good. But I love the fact that she has this great idea. Like she has these ideas about how to stop the queen, and it's like I just like the fact that she has the idea, but getting there,
Yeah.
babe. Come on now, I need you. Come on, bub.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times I'm like, come on, bub. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. So guys, please check it out because that's just a little bit of what's going on. The story, the book, like definitely check it out. Click on the link. Definitely check it out. And I love that Cookie Mon Steve is laughing at me. But so, how did you choose your cast? Amanjanu, welcome to the chat and welcome to the channel. Oh my God! Thank you, Fusca, for the 100 bits. God, you guys don't make me cry. How did you choose your cast? Amanjanu is in the chat. Thank you and welcome in. But how did you choose your lead? How did you choose your cast?
Oh my gosh, it was the most majestic process in the world. I put out a video, or it wasn't a video. I spent my Photoshop skills and created like this, you know, nice promo like casting call post, and I posted it on the newly made Itchikan TikTok, on in the Facebook groups and on Instagram, and the response was like magnificent. Like
Yeah.
all these amazing Black actors and actresses just pulling up in my email, you know, like, hey, I want to audition for this character. I want to audition for this
Yeah,
character. Can you send
yeah.
me the sites? And being on this side of the casting process was healing and taught me a lot, you know, for the actor side. But as someone who created these characters and was trying to figure out who could be the best to like actually bring them to life, it was truly, truly something. I mean, sending them, like I sent them, I believe 2 scenes. Especially like I think we got the most submissions for Aurora and Kimiko and Liza, who's a character who pops up a little later.
Yeah.
Which was so interesting because 2 people were cast ahead of time. And I'm so thankful because they both said yes. And one of the people is, you know, now our social media person and all that.
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful that intuition. But like
I'm smart.
like literally that's how it feels, you know. And it's hilarious because the people who I cast, especially for the main roles, they'll tell you they expected to get the opposite person and they didn't. And I still have to think back, like, why did I pick them? And I just know why. Like my sister, she's the one who sat next to me reading every page of Itchikan as I wrote it, like when it was just a document on my computer.
Okay.
And she encouraged me to publish it and all that. And me and her picked the cast together. And really just watching the performances. And again, like specifically again Imagine, let's gas them up because they're in the audience. They gotta hear it. Really seeing that like self tape,
Yes.
and again, like they're like it's just in front of this like wall, and just like acting their freaking butt off. And I mean, I think it really was like, and I'm gonna like I pray for the day that I'm able to like show you the parallel between the self tape and the scene and all
I
that.
want to
Um,
see that so bad because Amanjadu, thank you for. I'm so glad you're here because I will say this. Wow. Okay. Just from what I've seen, just from like the work and the physicality and just so, the character has been brought to life because of who you got as your lead, and I am amazed by this. Wow. Don't cry. We can cry together. We will cry together. We could do this. You and I, we could cry. I love Amanjanu in this role. I would love to see that casting tape. I would love to see that self tape one day. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. I look forward to that day because it really just came to life in front of our eyes. And then again, they had also auditioned for I think Liza and
They don't,
Kimiko.
they don't even.
And it was just bonkers to me. It was like, oh my gosh, like this. We just kept coming back, and me and my sister were actually genuinely intimidated. Like I think that's what really did it.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
Imagine never knew, it was the fact that we watched them and we felt the fire. We felt it like it came through the screen. And we were like, that's Aurora Harris.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
and it's no brainer now, but that's really what did it in the beginning. And again, the rest of the cast truly came to life. Like Katrina, who plays Kimiko,
Yeah.
she auditioned for Aurora as well, and was really interested in getting her role, which I think is hilarious because again, they're very similar in real life.
Yeah.
But seeing her and the energy, and she's such a like ball of like energy, and she's so animated and you just want to be in her orbit like all the time,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
is Kimiko. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh yeah, say freaking, like there was a part where I had them like hug in the self tape, and she
Mhm.
did the action and she's like hugging the camera, and I'm like, I
Done.
mean,
Done. Done.
I'm sold, like
I'm,
seriously.
I'm sorry, Amanjadu. I don't see you as anything but the lead. I just don't. It doesn't fit. Like I know you auditioned for Liz. Don't fit. That's your role. That's what you're supposed to be.
Let them know so they
That's
never
it.
forget, like
Like that's where
seriously.
you're supposed to be. I mean, wow. Go
Like,
watch. Go click on the link. The link is right
yes.
there. So, um, does the cast get any input into the story development though? I've seen some of the work that you guys been doing with the sword play and the sword choreography that you've posted on TikTok, and like I said, the physicality. But do they get any input into the story development as it goes forward?
I would say they definitely do. I mean, throughout the process of casting them and everything, at first it was just a read through, and then they all said, "Hey, I'd love to come back for the show."
Mm,
So thankful. And then there was time to actually take this pilot that was like 30 minutes and turn it into a proof of concept that
right.
was a lot smaller
Mm,
and had a lot less people in them. Because
yes.
again, I had people pulling up. It was crazy. I mean, the pilot I still love, but I definitely have tweaked it a lot because it was a TV show pilot, and I feel
Right.
like shooting something a little smaller was a lot more manageable. But they had input in that process, and again, Imagine was also one of our writers, and
Mm-hmm.
so and they're the creative director, and so they sat in on the writers' room meetings along with another one of our cast,
Mm-hmm.
and our producer and our other writer, and we all helped the story like get to where it needed to be.
Yeah.
And I had one-on-one conversations with every person that I cast, and again, I can't even talk about one of the person who did it first. They're not even in. They pop up so late in the book, like not late, but like later than like the proof of concept for sure.
Uh huh.
And when I tell you this guy, like he immediately once he got the role, he was like, "Yeah, so can we like have a meeting about my character?" I was like, I mean that blew me away. So I can't wait for y'all to meet him. But seriously, I had meetings with everyone who was in the proof just to really
Mm-hmm.
like ask them some questions like, hey, who is your character? Like how do you relate to them? And like, you know, yeah, just stuff like that. And that really
Uh oh.
I think the final draft of the script of the proof
Mm-hmm.
because it really reminded me like these are people and allowed me to make them even more human.
Right, right.
You know,
I love that. So how involved are the characters? Let me rephrase it. How involved are the casts in their characters' backstory? I already know. I know the book existed well before, so they have a backstory. But um, a lot of times between book and film, it's a little bit different. So how involved has the cast been in their developing the backstory and developing the character development?
I think it's been like a really big like partnership. It's really been like a good 50-50 because
Mm-hmm.
I've like told them what I envision the backstory to be. Because honestly, when the book was first written, I hadn't thought that much about a lot of the characters, like
Right.
backstory wise. It was mostly like future story.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this proof, I've really gotten to think like, where, how did these people get here, and what can we do to like nod at that without going back there?
Right.
Um, and as I talked again to this amazing cast, and we've had so many discussions, like I'm telling you, our Zoom meetings used to be like 40 minutes because the free Zoom whatever only gives you 40, and
Mm-hmm.
we'd be like renewing it long after the read through or the
Yeah.
table read or whatever because we would just be talking and having real conversations. And
Mm-hmm.
um that definitely played a role in the characters evolving, and like there are things that are about the cast in real life that
Mm-hmm.
I definitely incorporate into their characters, and it's so funny because it just made sense. Like once
Right.
I
Right.
really started talking to them about their lives and how they related to the characters, it just made sense to incorporate some of those things in,
Right.
um to truly make to truly bring them more to life so that the characters we know and hear now have more backbone. Like you have a more of an idea of how and why they are the way that they are in the show.
I'm looking at that book behind you. I'm like, how do I get that book? Um, like, I'm just like, I want the book. So
It's indeed. It's on Amazon
I
at the
know
moment.
I can't buy anything else.
No, literally same. As a book reader,
I can't. I
it's
can't.
like,
I cannot buy. Physically, cannot buy anything else. Like, I have to pay my editor for Christ's sakes.
oh my gosh, yeah, no, that
It's such like this is a problem. Like I'm like I want the thing, like the book. I want the book. Oh God, I gotta pay my editor
yeah.
first. Okay,
And honestly,
yeah.
you wait long enough, you might get the new cover and the sequel. Like by the time you get it, I mean, I don't know. So you might be ahead of the
Oh,
curve.
okay. We might wait. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. So, what do you think about your story as a film so far? I mean, it's like you said, it's very much different from what it was when you first did it, when you were 11. Um, what do you think of the story so far and how it's developed into this film?
I really love it. I think the most beautiful thing about being a creative is realizing that creativity evolves with you. And
Mm-hmm.
like I can cringe when I look back at, the book sometimes
Of
and I'm just
course.
like, "Ugh, I could do that better. I wish I could change that. But with the film, I just can. And I
Right.
just do. And so it's like I'm so proud of the changes and the ways that I just improved upon things and made them either more poignant or taken some things out or whatever. I just love
Mm-hmm.
that I get space to play with a story that I love so much and a concept that I love and characters that I love in a new way. It's
Yeah.
been such a great like second chance.
This is so cool. So, for people who want to emulate what you do, either whether it's in the social media space, like on TikTok, or just in the filmmaking or acting or where book writing, what advice would you give someone who wants to do what you're doing right now?
Oof. Mm. Oh, yep, gotta get ready for this one because the advice question is always like super emotional for me. Um,
Oh,
no, really, I would so just tell anyone who wants to get into like any or all of the creative endeavors, or just whatever endeavor really excites you as a person.
mm-hmm.
I would just say like do it with a capital like D and I, and then like an exclamation point. And I don't mean that in like a small way. I don't mean that in like a okay, like I'll do it. Like no, I mean like do it like in your
Yeah,
everyday
yeah.
life. Like I didn't pop up and write a book out of nowhere. Like before I wrote um a 400-page book, I wrote a 100-page fan fiction that
Okay,
I loved a
okay,
lot more at the time. I was like, bro, Itchikan can sit on the like it was not Itchikan at the time. It was like it was that idea on the napkin.
okay,
And
okay.
it took my sister saying, bro, if you can write a fan fiction that's 100 pages, you can write this.
Mm-hmm.
And so the doing that I've done in my life, in all these different areas, like we've talked about it, like cosplaying, turning into acting, and recording everyday stuff turning into recording films. Um, do it. Like
Yeah.
no matter how young you are, no matter how old you are, truly just do what you love, and have fun because you might find you don't even want to do it as a career. You might just want to create for you. And
Right.
I love and cherish the times when I'm able to do that as well because like I create for Itchikan just for me. Like I in my head, I was walking home a couple days ago and I created like this scene based off of the area I was walking home in, surrounding two characters in Ichikan, and it was the most fun I had in a while because I mean no one might ever read this or it's not even written. It was just my words, but
Yeah.
it was fun. It was
Right. Right.
storytelling. And so do that thing. Do the things you love and don't let anyone tell you that
You're like
your
my
dream
new
is too
favorite
high.
person. Like I am like you have such an energy, and I'm just like I'm gonna do it too. Me too.
Yes.
I'm gonna do
Yes.
thing. Sam, you got enough things on your thing that you're doing. You better relax. Just talk about doing it. What's wrong with you? So, what is your favorite setting in filmmaking? I know you're
Ooh,
doing
steady.
dystopian. I know what you're doing dystopian right now, but if you had to choose a favorite setting, whether it's comedy, whatever, or it's been like if it's futuristic or I don't know, past, way deep past, or medieval times, what setting is your favorite setting in filmmaking?
I love me a layered fantasy world.
Mm.
And like that could mean contemporary fantasy, like Ichikan, where it's like cities and
Mm-hmm.
swords and queens and it's like a mix. It could mean like fully fantasy, um like literally like dragons flying around.
Yep. Yep.
It could be like urban fantasy, like, more of a darker tone of like,
Yeah.
we're
Mm-hmm.
walking through the streets and then here comes like a bat person or,
Mm-hmm.
it could be dystopian fantasy, which is also Ichikan. It's a mix between like the sci-fi vibe and the
Mm-hmm.
fantasy vibe. I love when a world is different. Like when I really look at all the things that I truly like love so much, and obviously I love things that are just set in the normal world. But like the vast majority of things I continue to reach for are
Mm-hmm.
like fantasy worlds, like worlds someone just created. Like, yes, I think that these people should have elemental magic, and I think that they
Yeah.
should be divided into four nations. Like, I'm eating it up every time.
Okay. Okay. See, now you just walked into the next question. Okay. So since I discovered Ichikan, there's so many times I'm like, God, I would love to make this into a D&D campaign. Oh my God, I need to make it into a TTRPG. This needs to be a tabletop right now. Uh, Dude, you just said, okay, so, are there any plans to make this into a TTRPG or some type of game where people can play in the Ichikan world?
Oh my gosh. Such a great freaking question. Yes. My brother and I love games so much. I mean my whole family, but like really my brother and I, we love games. And I've recently gotten into D&D. Like I've never really been like I never understood it, but then
Okay.
I got into it and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely something for me because it's storytelling and you just run." And so, yes, I'm one of those again, as you can tell, ambition. I love just having the dream. It doesn't matter how big. And I
Mm-hmm.
love Ichikan to be like you said, all of the above. Like I love platform games. I love open world games. And a TTRPG of Ichikan where people can literally just create their own characters and walk around. I that now it's on my list.
Oh my God! See, this is a problem because I have been every time everything something pops up with Ichikan on TikTok. I'm like, damn it, that could be like a whole like one shot. We could do a whole one shot just based of what just happened there. And then I'm like, I'm gonna call, I'm gonna send an email, and I never do. And then something else happens, which ended up which is how I ended up talking, like sending the whole thing. But I digress. Um, as a performer and filmmaker, what are some regrets or mistakes that you've had in the past as you've been traveling along this social media and filmmaking creative side of life?
Such a great question. And I love hate talking about failures. Um, I realize I've had a fear of failure for a lot of my life, and then I see Ichikan, and I won't spoil anything, but one of
Mm-hmm.
the inciting incidents is a failure, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's a beautiful thing. Because I think I knew at a young age that failure is not the end of the world.
Right.
Um, and so one of the ones that's recent is definitely like the crowdfunding not reaching its goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was definitely super hard for me. As I spent endless hours, and time and energy and money, making sure that people knew about it, whether it
Yeah,
was on the
yeah.
street with flyers or on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then creating pitch videos. And Seed and Spark has an extensive process that you have to go through to create.
Yes,
Like, it took me an
yes.
entire year to get it ready. Um, and so to do all that work and not have it, come to term really did like was a hard day for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But really it wasn't even a hard day, it was like a hard moment
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
it wasn't over until it was over. And in that last day, we saw so much. Like, we saw so many people come through and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like, again, I had never posted really about Itchikan on my cosplay account.
Right,
But when I posted that video, seeing the influx of people come in and say, hey, I'm in freaking Belgium, I'm in Scotland, I'm in Berlin watching your video right now. It was just a reminder that when I had set out to do a crowdfunding, I had made the declaration. Like, we had already planned the shoot date, our
mm-hmm.
cast and stuff was already ready to go. It wasn't about reaching the term and getting the money. I
Right.
wanted that, but I really wanted exposure. I really wanted more people to know about the series that we were creating together, and
Mm-hmm.
that happened. And so, like, that's one of my biggest like failures, I suppose, now recently, and it's really taught me to reframe what I believe is the most important.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay.
it's one of those reminders, like, hey, I want stuff to be this way, but if it doesn't happen that way, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing,
Right.
you know.
Right, and it also doesn't mean that it's over. Like, you know,
Yes. Okay. Like, literally, like, oh,
like
my
it's
life
not
ended. Like,
over.
no,
Like
no.
so many times you're like, oh no, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Done. Okay, it's not done.
Yeah. Okay. Back to it. Yeah.
No, 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 it's back to work. Calm down. So do you plan on doing a crowdfunding again, like instead of Seed and Spark, maybe Kickstarter or some other crowdfunding source?
I definitely thought about that. I think my main issue is, like, as a creator, I just and a person, I love control. And I don't like putting my project in the hands of someone, and then anything can happen, and I feel like I somehow can't reach. Like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if I was raising money myself, like, all that money would have been mine already.
Right, right.
And the platform is great. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I'd love to bridge the gap between those things and to have
Okay.
my own platform again with something like Patreon or something where people can, financially contribute to help it happen, but
Mm-hmm.
on their terms, whenever they want to, not for a 30-day period, whenever they want to, and whatever amount they want to. And
Okay.
then I'm able to manage that myself instead of it
Okay.
being some middleman who decides, how many people they show it to and all this other stuff. I have no idea what that's like,
Right,
and
right.
I'd rather it be more direct. And I definitely have been thinking about that in the works. Me and creative director Amandanu were talking about that like yesterday.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Like I keep bringing up these great questions. In your opinion, though, so what is a like? You have a big personality. Like your energy is great. It's upbeat. I love it. I'm having a really good time. But what, in your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strength someone would need to work in the industry that you're in to be successful at what they do? Because despite all the setbacks, um, there is a lot of hype behind Ichigan. I consider it to be a successful endeavor at this point. What
Yeah.
it is totally infectious. That's the right word. Thank you. So what personality trait or strength would someone need to do this and be successful?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I gotta pull out like at least like three. Um, the one that came to mind first is empathy,
Mhm. Mhm.
because like I talked about it a little bit earlier, being coming into the film industry as an actor first, mainly, and not like a casting director, never having to cast my own project, it felt almost personal to not be cast in things
Mhm.
until I had to tell people that were so freaking talented,
Yeah.
like, hey, I actually don't, I actually am
It's
not
not the
going to be
fit.
moving forward with you right now.
Yeah.
It really taught me, hey, it's not personal. It's about the story. It can only be one person.
Mhm.
Um, and so empathy, like being able to imagine what it's like on the other side and say, I'm okay. Like, if it doesn't happen, it's not these
Mhm.
people's fault. And I'm still learning this myself. It's not these people's fault. It's not these people. It's not my fault. It's literally just there are humans everywhere.
Yeah.
I love that film is a human industry. There are people doing everything. And so, yeah, I think having empathy for your fellow person, they might not always understand you. They might not always agree with you, but like, this is a human with
Mhm.
stories.
Mhm.
And I think that's another reason why I even love being in film to begin with, or telling stories to begin with, because I want to spread that. I want people to feel like they can walk in the shoes of their fellow person and then come out the
Yes.
other side with a better love for that person, even if they will never, never want to be in 10 feet of them. they can still have that inner knowing of like they're a human. That and patience, like
That
those,
and
like
patience. And
and patience,
patience.
because like throughout the, like you said, the hardships really get hard sometimes, and the
Yes.
patience of realizing, hey, I can do this. Like I didn't answer it before in the failure question, but real quick, we were supposed to shoot in, according to my own calculations, we were supposed to shoot in 2023 August,
Mm-hmm.
and we shot in 2024 August. That's a whole year,
Right, right,
and I was like devastated, when
right.
when I realized it was not going to happen, and it took a lot of like soul searching and you know tears and feelings of guilt and emotion and figuring out like what did we do wrong, what to realize again that was something that I would call a failure, but really just allowed me to have a lot more time with the project so it could become perfected, and the
Mm.
patience it took, like if I had done it then I don't even want to imagine what it could have been because some of the people who were on that project who shot it with us, I
Mm.
didn't even know in 2023.
Okay,
And
okay.
so patience has really taught me like be at peace, bruh. Because the stuff is gonna come. Like, the people are gonna come. It's happened so naturally.
Yes,
And the
yes.
only way I was able to truly sit there and enjoy all of it is through the patience of realizing, okay, this does not have to happen immediately, it can happen in its own time.
So, this is not part of the questions I usually ask, but like, I love this conversation where this, especially as a creative and as a social media content creator and as a filmmaker and as a writer, you so want things to happen right now. Like that
Yes.
whole point, like why is it not happening? Why won't they call me? You know, it's so hard to put on the back burner. Um, how do you manage that feeling of like it's not moving fast enough for me? um, like how do you manage that, and how do you use your support system, if you have a good support system, um, in order to overcome that?
It's truly remembering like to enjoy the journey.
Mm.
Because rushing doesn't only pop up in my creative life, it pops up in my personal as well. And it's really been a culmination of helping both, in both aspects of realizing, hey, this is life.
Yeah.
This creative journey is a part of my life. I'm never gonna be here again. Like I have a tendency to try and jump ahead,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
and so, and especially in film, it's kind of hard not to because again, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like you have to see 5 steps ahead. Like I have an Itchikan business plan
Mm-hmm.
that's 5 different phases, and so it's like they kind of expect you to know what's going to happen in the future, and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but that can lead me to, like you said, feeling like it should happen now, now, now. And
Mm-hmm.
again, especially with the whirlwind of content that we're always like come bombarded with, it's like if I don't have this come out right now, no one's gonna like it. And again, that literally that was plaguing me at 11 years old,
Oh
and I'm
wow.
literally 22 now, and so it's like, bruh, if there was no rush, there was a about a from 2013 around. I mean, I wrote the second book in the beginning of 2016, and then I put down
Mm-hmm.
Ichikan as a whole, basically,
Mm-hmm.
until 2021. So that's a good like 5 years gap
Wow. Wow.
between me really championing this project and trying to make it work, and so that's a reminder, like, hey, there's no rush. Like I was able to live all my teenage years and chill out and do whatever, and then get back to my book when I felt like it. So I
Right.
have to award myself that same again patience and appreciation for the journey. Like on the Ichikan proof set, I'm imagining the show and I'm imagining all the stuff that's gonna be cool. And like my Pinterest boards, I'm like, oh my god, they're coming to life. What about that scene over there? And when the rest of the cast is coming, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm never gonna be here again. I'm never gonna be in August 2024 with
Mm-hmm.
literally Imaginu, one of my best friends now, like all the way up from Florida, chilling in my house. Like I'm never gonna be here doing this exact thing that I'm doing right now. I was like, I have to enjoy this. Like I can't
Yes.
rush this, bro. Like I don't have to be doing anything except what I'm doing
Oh,
now.
that's, oh my god. uh Repeat guest, clearly. So there are going to be times, and there has been times, if you mentioned, where you've had disappointments. Um, how have you not allowed those disappointments to drown you and stop you from what you're doing?
Funnily enough, I really use I truly do use my own characters, when I'm able to have the presence of mind,
Mhm.
as a reminder, as a lesson. Because if I had the presence of mind to write this when I only really lived an entire decade on Earth, really,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, then clearly I have the ability to keep going now. Like these characters experience so much disappointment and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
grief and oh my gosh, regrets and oh my gosh, this, and they keep on going.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I keep them going. Like I'm literally sitting here writing, and they don't always want to keep on. Like they don't always want, what I'm saying, to
Mhm.
have hope again. They don't always want to jump back in the ring after a hard day,
Right.
but somehow they always do.
Yeah.
And it's really remembering the hope and why we started. I find myself doing that a lot. I recently finished, literally yesterday, I finished rereading Itchikan for the thousandth time. Um, I've been rereading it all summer, casually. Because I actually really love it. It is really fun and
It's
I
really
love it.
fun. It's really fun.
It's a
It's
great summer read, by the
really
way.
fun.
It's like the end of summer, but just if you want a summer read, it's definitely
Totally
set
read
in
it. Yes,
summer.
yes,
So
just read it. If you're getting on a
um
plane, long haul flight, totally get Itchikan. I'm just telling
hold
you.
up, y'all. It's a real reminder, like to have a lighthearted, fun story that also has a lot of disappointment. It's just a reminder. I can do all of the things. I have the capacity to be disappointed fully and feel that emotion. And then to also realize, hey, this is not the end of my life. I'm
Right.
going to keep going.
Oh, I love that. So I have to know this. What is your favorite film?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so um it's so funny because when I talk about Ichikan, I'm in a certain headspace of like young adult, 12 and up, like we stay with the kids, like we young
Yes.
adults, let's get it. Um, I'm also an adult. So,
You're like, oh
I have like a
yeah,
lot of like,
I'm an adult now. God damn it.
yes. So like these two movies I'm thinking of right now are not for the children.
That's okay.
Um, but
It's 18 plus stream. Totally fine.
oh, go it. Hey, okay, sweet. Yes, I recommend y'all all go watch this. So yes, my top favorite film of like all time is definitely Disclosure 1994,
Ooh, okay.
with Michael Douglas and Demi Moore. And this movie
Okay.
is so underrated. I have never heard another human soul talk about it. My dad, my sister, and me watched it. I was definitely too young, but that movie left like
I
it left
should not have been
like
watching this movie.
nope, definitely not. But it definitely left a lasting imprint on me. Because it's just such a well-rounded film. And again, I realize now when I create stuff how oftentimes genres coexist. It
Yes.
came out in the 90s, and so it's a mix of like I forgot what they call the genre, but it was like all those like movies like Basic Instinct and like Fatal Attraction, those like movies that have a lot of like that energy,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then it
Yes.
mixes with like thrillers, and it mixes with like mystery and little
Mhm.
comedy
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
family, and it is literally such a great film, like to have so much wrapped up in this like small moment. It's literally about this guy who's going in for like a merger at his company, and he's about to be promoted.
Yep.
And then he goes into work. He's like a family man. He has kids, wife, all this cool stuff. And he goes in for this promotion, and it turns out he's been passed up by his ex, who
Ooh.
suddenly works at the freaking company and is really interested in somehow getting back into his circle. He's like, absolutely not.
Like
But he also kind of like, I don't really know what's happening, so I kind of want to find out.
right.
Something goes horribly wrong.
Mhm.
And he figures out that this company has it out for him and that they're trying to basically like push him out of his job and into a whole nother state to get him to keep quiet about this incident that occurred.
Mm.
And he's like, oh no, I'm gonna fight y'all. And he spends the whole movie basically trying to prove his innocence.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the movie has great commentary on like gender and workplace like harassment and like power, and it's just such a great film. Like when I tell you, and it's crazy when you say that word, and like no, I've never said that, and someone was like, oh, I think I've seen that. No one's
Yeah.
ever said
Yeah.
that.
I don't.
But
Yeah.
I gotta plug it because it's just such a great movie.
If
Seriously.
I look, I'm bad with names. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm 100% bad with names. So if I have seen it, I wouldn't
I
know.
will, that's real.
I
That's
honestly
real.
wouldn't know. I don't know. So I have to ask this one first because I know a lot of people tend to, when they hear this question, kind of go, "Oh, I've never thought about it." But thank you for the lyric. Um, what is one of the biggest influences in your life that most people have never heard of? I know people kind of go, "Oh, my biggest influence is like some great actor or some big director," but someone who's most people have never heard of.
such a great question. My main answer is somebody who a lot of people have known of, so I'm trying to think of somebody else.
It's like,
I honestly might still answer this for this reason because I think known is has to be taken with a grain of salt
mm,
because being known and being loved is like
two different
different.
things. Yeah.
Like someone could definitely be like, "Oh my gosh, Steven Spielberg is my inspiration." It's like, "Oh my gosh, wow, yeah, obviously because he's a great filmmaker or whatever. Everyone loves him." But like, if someone says this other random art house person over here who has a controversial film, then it's like, why? Blah blah blah. And so I'm one of those people who generally gravitates towards all the people who are thrown to the side for some reason.
Right.
My biggest inspiration or person, like especially when it comes to stories,
Mm,
because again, a story, whether movie or book, is a story. Like
right.
that is
Right.
the backbone of it. Is Veronica Roth, who wrote the Divergent series.
Yep.
And because reading a book is one thing. Like I've read many books and I'm not sure what the authors are doing or who they are or whatever. But with Divergent, because I was also coming up as a writer and as somebody who loved film and all these things that she was also into at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
I just drank in all the knowledge that she had to offer. Like, she would, have writing tips in the back of her collector's editions. And I would read all of those and like take notes. And, also reading the books and finding out that the world truly disliked a lot. I won't even say disliked, really truly hated her and her decisions that she made with the
Mm-hmm.
Divergent series. That it touched me in a way that I'm just now as an adult able to really grasp
Okay.
as a kinship,
Mm-hmm.
because my main goal as a storyteller is to be honest to my characters
Okay.
and do them justice no matter what. And that is what I know Veronica Roth has done with her
Right.
characters without a doubt. And not only in Divergent, but in all of her series, because I have read 99, 80% of her discography or
Yes.
literography. I'm not sure how I would say that, but I've read a
Okay. I
lot of
guess
her books.
discovery. Discography. Okay.
like, like, I don't know. I don't think I've heard anyone put
I,
that into that
yeah.
term.
I don't know. I
Um,
don't know how to. Now I don't have to think about how to say
the
that.
jury's out. Yeah, I'm gonna Google it
Like,
honestly.
God dang it. So the problem is with me, my brain's gonna think about that all night. But that's fine.
Yeah, no, you're
uh,
good.
um,
But yeah, she's the person because again, she's true to her
right.
people no matter what happens.
So speaking of divergence, um, you have a whole series about Divergent on your YouTube channel. You are very much into Divergent. Um, Divergent was made into a film. I think only one. Um, what do you think? Thank you for the alert. What do you think? How to rephrase this without being mean? Um, how people disliked the film but seem to enjoy the books. What is your fear about having your having Itchikan bought by a TV series, and what is your fear about them changing it so much that it it moves away from what the book and the original web series was about?
Well, honestly, that's why I've chosen to independently produce it and like really get people to join in with the process instead of take over.
Okay.
Um, because yeah, that was a big fear of mine. Like if I sell this to freaking Lionsgate, who did Divergent,
Yeah.
are they going to sit here and create something not that I intended?
Right.
And that's what I noticed was happening. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
hear from authors who had their books adapted, which I thought was cool, that they did not have creative control all the time of the project, that
Mm-hmm.
they would
Mm-hmm.
kind of pass it off and maybe were given the opportunity to come on set one day or something, but they weren't involved. Like people were deciding who would be the characters and what the story, and that was bonkers to me because I'm like, bro, they're never going to decide the right thing. I mean, especially because of the uniqueness of our story.
Right.
Like
Right.
he kind of literally follows like this headstrong black girl. Like there's no way Hollywood's going to do this right.
Right.
I just
Right.
do not trust them, and so that's what really made me make the decision of like, oh no, I'm making this myself because I know whatever mistakes I might make because I know I'm a human and I'm not gonna do anything
Mm-hmm.
perfectly. I know that I'm going to stay as true to the story as possible, and
Okay.
that has been the truth of the matter. Like in the proof, it's not the exact same as the first couple chapters that it is adapting. That it has been
Mm-hmm.
adapted from, but it has the same backbone, and that's
Yes. Yes.
why yeah,
It's recognizable. Uh,
yes.
so, um, with each, do you think the way that you're pitching it now, that production companies, television, film, Hollywood, would they be willing to come in to help you and not take over, or do you think that those kind of companies are too big to be able to do that without having like some type of creative control over the project?
I do feel like a lot of them are probably very big and would rather have their own hands and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I'm very strategic about who I tell about it and how much I like give them,
Right.
and like, whether it's just like a nod or like a like or whatever, or even
Mm-hmm.
like, allowing it to be on someone's streaming website once it comes out versus literally having their company create it like Ichikan suddenly the Netflix original, like, really being very strategic
Yeah, yeah.
about that, because and also, like, I haven't thought about this now, but it just made me think about that the way you asked the question. Really being like seeing how many other like indie people, indie writers or indie creators, their experiences with these
Mm-hmm,
companies. Like
mm-hmm.
when you gave your project to them, did they help you? Did they take over? Like that's now a part of my research.
Right. Like, I need to figure this out because we need to find out how these people would take. You're not taking my film.
Yeah, you're not. You're not taking
That's not going to happen. So, outside of filming and outside of writing and outside of acting, what other pastimes do you enjoy?
Oh, great question. Love that. I truly I love taking pictures of the sky and
Mm-hmm.
just taking pictures in general. I've always been a video person, but
Okay.
my sister inspired me to start taking pictures along with video and actually pictures more often, and
Okay.
it's truly become a passion of mine. Because it's allowed me to truly see beauty in the world everywhere
Mm-hmm.
and to appreciate my own creative eye. Like, not to bring it back to Ichigan, but I've like a lot of the shots and the aesthetic of the film came from my own eyes because my camera roll looks very similarly to those final shots because
Yeah.
I like light to look a certain way and I love capturing when people are lit a certain way and that translated. And so in my normal life, it's another connection between me and God, like an acknowledgement, like you created this amazing world and I'm able to capture it on this phone that has such a great camera for some reason. Um, and just be able to look back and be like, wow, like that, there's no way the sun looked like that. There's no way the clouds look like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Right.
that's definitely one of them. That's one of my passions.
So, as all consuming as Ichikan has been, are there any other projects aside from Ichikan in the works? Any other books? Any other films? Um, different genre? Are there anything in the vault coming out soon?
Ooh, coming out soon, not sure. But I definitely actually, thank you. You've expanded my mind a little bit more. In terms of books, I'm definitely focusing a lot on the second Ichikan book. But in terms of, I definitely have written other pilots for other TV shows
Mm-hmm,
that I'm
mm-hmm,
excited to do. Like I said, Teenage Haunt. I've edited the episode. I just need to like re-edit some stuff,
mm-hmm.
make sure it's like polished to release, and so that could release in the next like couple months, depending. Um, and also I want to like start creating like smaller short films, like because I just love making stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean it's not possible to literally sit there and create a whole bunch of TV shows back to back to back. So smaller content, I love, like you said, cosplay and like fan films. Oh my gosh, like I love fan films so much. Like when I realized I could create a fan film, like obviously like knowing that, but people really be going all out, especially when they feel
Yes.
like a movie wasn't good or it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Right,
And
right.
I'm that person. And so you heard it here first, folks, but I do plan to create my own adaptation. I'm not sure how big it's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just going to start off as little scenes or TikToks or whatever. But in some capacity, I want to readapt to the Divergent books.
Oh yes, because I hate that movie. I like the books, but I hate that movie. Like,
And it's probably good you only watched one because they made three.
oh, they did make three because I could.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening in this? What is happening? This is not how this goes. Like, I was
Mm.
very upset. Like every time
Wow,
something happens, it's like Game of Thrones issues.
yeah. Issues.
We have problems.
Yeah.
So, but I love this question because it gives my guests pause. If you could direct anyone, dead or alive, real or fiction, up to 5 or 6 people, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. Up to 5 or 6 people? Such a great. Ooh. Okay, let me get into this. Ooh. Oh my gosh. And I'm just thinking of all my favorite like actors and actresses, people who I like want to cast and things, dead or alive. Oh my gosh. I feel like I definitely want to direct Freddie Highmore.
Okay.
Like he played a Norman Bates in the Bates Motel
Mhm.
TV
Mhm.
show.
Mhm.
Again,
Mhm.
another one of my all-time favorite shows.
Yeah.
Like I
It's
have a tattoo
really
from
good.
it.
It's really good show.
Like that's a great show. And he's an amazing actor. Like
Yeah.
I grew up
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
him as a child,
Mhm.
and he only got better. So him for sure.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if he still acts the same way that he used to, like as often. I know he's like has a family and stuff now, but I
Mhm.
honestly would love to direct Ian Somerhalder, who
Ooh.
plays
Okay.
Damon Salvatore in
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries.
Okay. Okay.
Amazing. Again, these
Oh
are
my
two people
God.
who inspired me a lot as an
Yeah.
actor.
You're like, okay, those are two really big ones already. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Not
Oh
pulling any
my
punches here.
god. Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Oh, like people who I just freaking love. Oof, and I'm like forgetting every actor that I've ever known in my life.
That always happens. As soon as I ask this question, they're like, can't think of anyone now because you asked me that question.
Yeah, it's like all the actors are there and then they're gone. Um, ooh, hold on. I have so many people, so many people. But I feel like I will just go with the people who come to my mind first
Mm.
because otherwise I will be here all night. Um, I love to direct Hunter Schafer,
Okay. Okay.
who plays Jules in Euphoria.
Yeah.
I really love them as a performer. I think she's amazing, and I
Mhm.
just like the rawness of her performances, and I
Yeah.
think she's very authentic. I would love to direct her. Um, oh my gosh, we got two more people, y'all. We can do this.
Like, I
We can
believe in
do
me.
this. I believe. Oh my gosh, honestly, I'm not sure what story I would write that he would be great in, but I mean, he's just such a great actor. It would work, I'm sure. Michael Douglas,
Okay. Okay.
King energy, King. Um, do. Just one more person. One more person. Oh my gosh, Casey Wallfall, who
Ooh.
played
Okay.
Naomi in the Naomi TV show.
Yes.
That girl,
Yes.
I had so much fun watching her, and I was so sad when they canceled
They
that
cancel.
show.
They cancel good shows all the time. Like it's
Like,
awful.
what
Like
the
they keep
freak?
crappy shows and cancel good shows. Like I don't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
so chat. If you have any questions, there have not been any questions yet in queue. But I usually say throughout the stream, and I have not done that because I've been so engrossed in our guest, and super distracted by all these wonderful things I've been finding out about a book that I've read multiple times. Um, if you have any questions, and you obviously have a gift itself from Cooking Mom Steve, you can put them in queue by using a channel point. It's about 50 channel points, and they can go in queue. In the meantime, while we're doing that, while people are thinking of questions, if they do have any, um, tell us what we can expect from Ben the person, Ben the director, Ben the actor, and what we can expect from Itchikan as a production in the future.
Yes, can't wait to go down this line. Been the person, director, actor, Ichikan. Been the person is doing a great job of realizing that I only have one life, which
Yeah.
means I it's high time I get back into my young bag and use social media for what I always used it for, which is freaking fun.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
literally creating whatever I want, however I want, talking about the things that I love. I can get into that headspace of like, no, if it doesn't match the theme, if it's not a part of my normal, like, no, I wouldn't have gotten any of the like people that I have now, like on
Yeah.
Instagram or any of my social media platforms, if I had just stayed doing one type of content that's just not
Right.
true to me.
Right.
And so that, and being a lot more vulnerable about my experience in my life, because it's one that I'm really really proud of, and so I feel like just being more visible definitely going to be happening in the coming months
Oh,
and
that's
years.
awesome.
Ben, the director, is doing a great job at getting his team of people together, and
Yeah.
so I don't know what the next project that you're actually going to be able to see finished will be,
Hmm.
but I'm definitely getting my team of people together so that I'm able to have some cool people to direct, have some cool stuff to write and make,
Hmm.
and just have fun with film again and not make it this big thing that it has to be like, if I'm not making my TV show, I'm not doing it at all. Like, no, I really do want to do more fun director stuff.
Right. Right.
Ben the actor. I do have a film on its way out now. It's definitely for adults. And um, a lot of trigger warnings. But I am proud of the role that I played,
Right.
and I it's crazy. I mean, I can't even. I do not associate that person to with myself anymore, and I'm not sure if I ever will because it really was me giving myself to a role. Like,
Yeah.
talk about it, you know. But it was very both healing and traumatizing to truly step into somebody who was so close to who I used to be.
Hmm.
Um, and so Ben the actor definitely has that coming out, and again, a commercial that I prayerfully will book. I got the call back yesterday,
Oh,
so
nice.
oh,
Congratulations.
we shall see. Thank you. Um, yes, yes, yes. And then Itchikan. The proof of concept is currently in post production.
Okay. Okay.
It looks freaking amazing. It sounds amazing, and I'm super excited to continue to show little tidbits, bits and pieces
Hmm.
from it, and then to obviously release it to you all. I I'm praying right now that I get to pitch it at a symposium in New York.
Ooh, when you coming
We'll
to New
see.
York? Because we gonna talk.
Oh my God, but we gotta talk. Yes, I did not know you were in New York.
Yes, we are in
Anyway.
New York.
I love that. Okay, good. Mental note, and so prayerfully that works out. I haven't heard back from them yet, but we'll see. And so just continuing to tell people about it. Pretty soon going to be starting up content again because I took a little break. And you know, writing the second book, like I think
Yeah.
I've had a lot of great fun, with the TV show, and obviously the post production is gonna, I'm sure, take time. But I really want to focus in the last half of this year or last quarter of this year. I want to focus on that second book
Yeah.
and allowing it to just be an imperfect novel, like all
Hmm.
novels are,
Yeah.
and just putting it out there because it's been a long time, and I feel confident in the story, and I know people have been waiting for a long minute, and I really just want it to be done.
Like I just, I want it to be finished now, please and thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That'd be great. Thank you. um,
Like, just write yourself, please.
like please. You just said about I know this chat doesn't have any questions, but you just said something that just touched on something about the novels not being perfect. How hard was it for you to jump over that fact? Because a lot of novel writers, me included, um, kind of get stuck on the perfection of a scene or the perfection of the story and have a hard time moving forward through the book. How do you overcome that?
I'm now overcoming it by a mix of living my life and realizing that it's hard for me to not be perfect in my real life as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I let that perfection die down, I allow myself to be a lot more imperfect in my work as well.
Okay. Okay.
Um and when it comes to specifically creation and specifically a book, because that's a gigantic endeavor, I
Yes.
really prioritize leaning on other people for accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that can really help get to the end, and it can also help, like, reading other people's work regularly can remind you, hey, we're all writing some pretty great stories, and we don't need perfection. We just need the stories to be out there. Um, and also tapping back into my mindset as a 13-year-old, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of difficult, but
Yeah.
I mean, it takes some time, but I think when I do it, it really is powerful because, bruh, I don't know what I what type of I don't know, but I literally like writing that much at that age. I don't know, but I did it. And it
Yeah.
was fun. I remember I logged into my journals, writing whether it was this or the fan fiction. I wrote many, many fan fictions in between
Right. Right.
Ichigan. And even now I try to get back into fan fiction because it reminds me, like, writing is writing. It doesn't have to be this grandiose,
I
big
know.
career thing. And honestly, when it is that only, it's no telling why we get so burnt out because we're forgetting that writing's a gift and
Right.
it's meant to be used however we see fit. Like, I've gotten back into essay writing, which I haven't done since
Mm.
school, and it's been very healing because I have a lot to say about my real life story, and it's helped inform my fictional, books. And so, yeah, again, that mindset of a young person of, like, bruh, I just write. Like I said earlier, like, I just do it.
Right.
And
Right.
so that really helps me remember, like, this is not like I put this book out not caring about perfection, just knowing that I wrote a great story. I'd have someone look over it, and hey, we put it out in the world. Is it imperfect? Yeah. Is it a
Mm.
great, followable, amazing story that I'm now adapting into a show? Also, yeah. That means I can do it again. Like, if
Yeah.
I did it
Exactly.
once already,
Exactly.
bro.
Like I
If
did
you
already
haven't
did
done
it
it once,
once.
know that you can do it. Like,
Okay.
know that your first time is not going to be your best time, but it's going to
Yes.
be your best time at the time, and you can't get better unless you do it at all.
Hold on.
Like, so
Got it.
do it. Do it that first time.
So we do have a question. It's from Amanjanu. They asked what other genres is been interested in doing in terms of directing. Ah,
Ooh. I am a big lover of, let's just jump all the way to the other side, not technically because all genres are connected, but I love horror so much.
really,
I do. I do. I love me
really.
some horror. Yeah, I love it as an actor. I love it as a writer, a director. I
Huh.
love horror. And so that I wrote like the beginning of a horror script. So soon we might be getting that off the ground. I don't know, but
Okay, I'm
that
not gonna read it, but
I
good.
like yeah.
Nope, not gonna do
We
it.
gotta get in the screenwriting group or something.
The
Seriously.
only time I do horror is if I have to stay up to do work. So if I know I if I know I'm tired and sleepy, I will watch a horror movie or read something horror like, and then I'm gonna be up. Great,
Wow,
yeah,
that's a
because
great
I
cycle.
can't sleep because I'm terrified now. So gonna work. um, welcome in space. Thank you for joining us. We are talking with our guest Ben, who is the author, the director, the producer, the casting director of Itchikan, which is an amazing story of a dystopian youth, young adult series that he's making to web series. Please check out the links. It's so much fun. I love that book so much. It's a blast, and I would love for it to be a D&D TTRPG. Your horror's not my thing. So my niece, who's 11, can sit through a horror movie as if she's watching a comedy.
Wow.
It's weird. She doesn't do jump scares. She's just like, oh, that was fun. Like,
Wow.
ew. Me, my nephew, my mother are like terrified. So horror is to keep me up to do work. That is it. Yeah, I'm not. We're not doing that. Not doing it. So, Chad, if you have no more questions, we're gonna. Oh, I love the idea of horror in practice. I tend to get punchy when I get spooked. Agree. Not even punchy. I just kind of like this terror of like who's in the house. Cause a lot of times in the house by myself. I live in a big house,
Mm.
and like I'm like, all right. And we just finished watching something where things were creeping around the walls, and I
Mm.
hear things creeping in the walls. All right, all the lights are on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Writing the script actually scared me. I had to stop writing it. That night I was like, okay, I will continue this in the morning because I was getting into the actual scary story
Yeah.
part. Like, it was like exposition, and then in this, I'm like, I won't do that to myself. I won't.
Why? Why would you want to? This is not cool. This is. Oh my god. Well,
For
Chad,
the daytime.
if you have no more questions for Ben, I usually ask my guests to guide the raid. However, although Ben is on Twitch, he is not familiar how Twitch works for raiding. So I'm gonna guide the raid. Be doing the raid today. While I look for someone. In the meantime, I'm gonna let you guys know what we're doing for the next couple of days. Okay, yeah, we're already talking to him. Don't tell me what to do. For next week Friday, we're talking with Historic Black Dice. Super excited about having two of those people on for interview from that group. So excited about that. They're doing some great things in TTRPG and the D&D space. Tomorrow, we are just doing a little bit of world building in my world for TTRPGs. Yes, so for Ben and for Majinu who don't know, I am a game master specializing in Dungeons and Dragons because I love Dungeons and Dragons. And but my world is a urban fantasy where dragons exist in Central Park. If you can see the dragon that's sitting behind me, right there in Central Park, all those things happen. Orcs exist and fairies exist all in New York City. Magic exists. It's absolutely amazing. Also writing a novel behind it, which I have to get back to because so many things have to happen. But we'll be doing that
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll do some world building tomorrow. We'll do some novel writing tomorrow. We'll do some writing workshop tomorrow. And then Sunday we will be reading the no longer the early release. Today is the day. Today is the day that D&D has released its new player's handbook. So if you have not bought it, I have the early release. But if you have not bought it, go out and buy the new D&D handbook so you can be just as annoyed as I am at the change in the rules. In the meantime, we are probably let's see who we're rating out to. There's so many people online. Oh my god. Ooh, we have. Let's see what's everyone doing. Let's see. Careful Cantrip is not on. Ooh, Christian is on, and we have all these people. Crap. I don't like being spoiled for choice. This makes it harder for me. Um, I'm just making. Oh, that's shiny. Yeah, it's very shiny. I'm, stand by. I'm gonna show you the dragon while I look for something. Let me show you the dragon so you guys get a better look at it. So, I went to Brooklyn Comic Con this past summer. I love Brooklyn Comic Con. It's getting bigger and bigger, and I'm super excited about that. That it's getting bigger and bigger. But Brooklyn Comic Con had an artist, and right now I can't remember the artist's name, which is driving me crazy. But they had this wonderful drawing which fit perfectly in my world building. So this is a dragon
Wow.
in Central Park. I don't know if you can. It's kind of hard to see with the light, but let's true we can't make that happen. There you go. And this dragon in Central Park, and as you can see, there's like, oh, it's so freaking cool. I'm so great. But yeah, I had a look at core range of changes. I may have shed a little tear. Yeah, you're gonna pre-warning. Let everyone know that if you're gonna read the new PHB, you're gonna be upset or angry. Please just be prepared. We're gonna raid out to Brookie Bear. They are a wonderful dungeon master and a really good person, and they're part of a project that I am doing for next year. So, Brookie Bear streams. They are currently doing D&D, so I'm excited about that. Um, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Um, in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us, Ben. This has been an absolute blast. Your energy is so infectious. Amanjanu is amazing as your lead. I love that they're part of the project in all aspects. Please, guys, check out Ben, check out Itchikan, go buy the book, check out the web series so far, and please support. And as always, it's better to be kind than to be nice. And if you can't be good, please be careful. Bye. Alright, stand by. We are out. Let me just say a quick hi. Can you hear me still?
Yes, need. Yeah.
I can't hear you. I lost your sound.
Oh, rip.
Why did I lose your sound?
Oof. Can you hear me now? Do 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 do.
It might be me. Stand by.